to another Narc Survivor live video. This time live from the jungle. Just been hiking, climbed up the hill, and I will have some nice views on my Instagram stories very soon. So follow me on there if you're not following me yet. Narc Survivor YouTube and Instagram. So far it's nice and peaceful here, but let's see how long it lasts before someone starts running in, before we start getting fired cars revving in the background. Let's see how it goes. Again, I'm going to be giving you 5 things that make narcissists go insane. The first thing that really makes a narcissist go insane is criticism. So anything, even constructive criticism, even helpful advice, could potentially drive the narcissist insane. It could cause a narcissistic injury. It could make them really angry, because they have to see themselves as perfect, as though they've never done anything wrong, as though they're completely faultless and flawless, as though they can't do anything wrong. They have to see themselves that way. They have to see it as though they've got everything under control. They know exactly what they're doing. They don't need to know anything from you. They don't need help, because they've got it all figured out. And actually, this all stems from insecurity. They are very insecure. Because just think about it. How would they have everything figured out when they have to manipulate, use, and exploit people? If they know everything, if they've got everything under control, then what do they need you for? Why they were using you? But this is it. The sense of arrogance and entitlement that they have is to compensate for their insecurities. They are actually very insecure. And this is why they have to manipulate you. Because the truth is, they don't know what they're doing. They haven't got a clue. They haven't got anything figured out. They don't know anything. And yet they go through pretending as though they know it all. As though they've got everything under control. As though they're the masters of their own life. And that's why when someone comes to them, criticizes them, even if it's constructive criticism, even if it's just helpful advice, it's like the straw on the camel's back. It's like you criticize them and they've got this facade where they're acting so arrogant, where they're acting as though they know exactly what they're doing. And then just a tiny criticism causes them to crumble. It causes them to collapse. Because of course at their core, they haven't got a clue. And this is why they need sources of supply. This is why they need people who they can use. Because they've never done the work. For myself, I welcome disagreements on my channel. I welcome opposing views. As long as it is descriptive. As long as it's not just stupid insults or degrading comment. I'm talking about things that value. Because even if it's something from an opposing side, even if it's a disagreement, it can still add value for me. Because I'm secure enough within myself to admit that I don't know it all. I don't know everything. But at this point, I can confidently say that I do know a lot. Because every day I've been working, researching for nearly 7 years now. And I never had to pretend about anything. I never tried to be fake about. And gradually over time, I acquired my knowledge. Of course, I already had a lot of experience. But with narcissists, it's all a facade. It's all a lie. They don't really know anything. They're inexperienced. They rely on manipulation. And by using manipulation, they never really experienced any success. They've never learned anything. Because even the things that they obtain or acquire, learn anything from that. We learn the most from our failures. When all they're doing is manipulating, and when anything goes wrong, they shift the blame onto someone else. They don't take any accountability. And this is why no matter how old they get, they're still exactly the same. They still have the same mentality. You could meet the narcissist when they're 20 years old, catch up with them again when they're 70 years old, and they're still exactly the same. They haven't changed. They still think the same way. They never learn, they never grow. This is why they cannot tolerate any criticism, any pushback. And a dog just ran down there. That was random. But yeah, they cannot tolerate any criticism, any pushback. And not always if it's just sudden or unexpected, but even if you give them a chance and you sit them down and just talk to them, they will still rage, they will still lose their minds. Or you will end up leaving the conversation feeling very confused because they've spun your head around in circles. They've gaslighted you. Because they just can't tolerate any criticism. They don't want to be accountable for anything. They don't want to have to deal with the consequences for their actions. So essentially, they want nothing to do with themselves. Because if you have a good relationship with yourself, if you're trying to learn, you're trying better, then you're going to welcome criticism. You're going to want to know other people's thoughts, other people's advice. And of course, some narcissists, they may just say that you're inexperienced or you don't know anything, so they don't need to hear anything from you. But actually, that is an amateur's point of view. Because I can tell you, as someone who has been researching about this disorder for nearly 7 years, I read all of your comments. And some of you who are commenting, you may have found out about it just yesterday. And I'm still reading your comments, I'm learning from it. Because you can always find something in what other people have to say, in another person's perspective. Even if you are a master at your craft, you can still learn things from your students. But of course, the narcissist will never have that mentality. And this is why it's one of the things that drive them insane. Criticism. The second thing that drives the narcissist insane It's the silent treatment. So when you're not talking to them, when you're not responding to their texts or phone calls, and it's not that you're doing what they're doing, because of course they give the silent treatment sometimes, and when they do it, it's very immature. But you may be giving them the silent treatment because you're just fed up with the abuse. You realize that your input is not required or maybe not even wanted. They don't care about you. They don't care about what you have to say. They don't care about your wants, needs, desires, goals, dreams, ambitions. They don't care about any of that. So then you see it as though you might as well just not say anything. You just go silent. But again, it's like the double bind with a narcissist. You can't win. Whether you're talking to them and you're just being honest and truthful, or you go silent, either way, they've got a problem. Because they need your communication. They need to feel like you agree with them so that you can validate them, the illusion. The third thing that makes narcissists go insane is rejection. And this could be you rejecting their proposals or ideas. It could be something that they have planned, that they have set out for you, something that they want you to do or to be for them. And you just don't want to go along with it because it's you. It's your life, your mind, your body. You get to choose what you get involved in based on whether or not you think it's good for you. So of course you're allowed to reject or decline certain proposals or ideas that they have set forth for you. But when you're dealing with a narcissist, they won't be happy. They view you as an extension of themselves. And it's not that you've done what they do, like where they manipulate you, they mirror you. You were just, and they were seeing you differently than how you were portraying yourself to them, because they had this fantasy in their minds that had nothing to do with you. And then of course they want to pull you into that. They want to get you to go along with it because that's what they want for you, even though you've given no signs of interest in that. You've given nothing that would suggest to them that you want to go along with their ideas and what they've set forth for you. But just because they want it, something that fulfills them. And many times they will never come out and say that. They will never come out and say that what they've put forth for you is actually what they want. It's what they want for you because it's what they want for themselves. They're never going to tell you that. If you ask a narcissist, how does something benefit them? When they're expecting you to do something, it will cause a narcissist to collapse. They won't know how to respond to that. Or they will just project it back at you. Because they can't ever come out and admit that their personal ideas that they are putting onto you and trying to get you to go along with, that's actually something that they like. And it may not be something that they personally want to be doing for themselves, but it may be fulfilling for them to watch you do it. because then it gives them a sense of power and control. It makes them feel like they have authority over you. When they can get you to be their doormat, their fool. Which is why they hate it when you reject anything that they put forth for you. It doesn't matter how ridiculous it is, no matter how extreme, they can't stand it, because that means that they have lost control over you. And they want to have maximum control. They want it to be like when they say jump, you say how high. And that you never turn them down. And this is why sometimes narcissists, for no apparent reason at all, they can suggest some really extreme things to you. With no cooperation, no input, no suggestion or idea on your part. It just comes out of the blue because they want to maximize their control over you. They want to feel like they have power. So if they can reduce you to a shell of who you once were, that tells them that they are powerful. And remember, these types of people, they have empathy, they have no morals. So they hate it when you reject anything. It doesn't matter what it is. And when you reject it, they will alienate you. They will seem like something is wrong with you. And again, it could be something so ridiculous, so extreme. I'm sure many of you, you've been through it, and you can let me know in the comment section. Comment down below. Narcissist expected you to do for them something ridiculous, something extreme. And maybe deep down you know that it was not really something they cared about. It was more just so they could feel like they had power and control over you. Now the fourth thing that makes narcissists go insane is abandonment. Yes, the next step above rejection is abandonment. Despite all of the things that they may have done to you, even a narcissistic parent may have been abusing you your entire life, while keeping a code of silence and expecting you to just tolerate it. It really sets them off, because then they feel like they've lost control. They have a fear of abandonment, often as a result of childhood trauma. So they have abandonment or separation anxiety. And also another thing they fear, as well as the loss of supply and control, is also the threat of them being exposed. Because it's kind of like, if you imagine that a child has been kidnapped by someone, and this person has been doing all sorts of things to them that no one knows about, and they've been keeping this child in their home. Now, of course, if that child manages to escape, if the abuser sees that the child is about to get out and then be in contact with other people who are unaware of what's been happening, who are not going to be happy about it, of course, that abuser is going to feel very fearful. They're going to feel that loss of control, and they're going to do anything to stop that child from getting out and telling everyone what they have been doing. And of course, it's the exact same thing with these narcissists, which is why this is just another thing that drives them insane when you abandon them, because it's that threat of exposure. They worry that if you go out into the world and you tell people your story, people know about what they've been doing to you, then what's going to happen to them? So they worry about that. And that's why typically they will try to beat you to the punch. They will try to get to them first. They may also try to control you with the threats of public humiliation, ruining your reputation, to try and keep you stuck, to keep you locked in. You fear abandoning them, fear exposing them in any sort of way, because by doing that, then something could happen to you. The fifth thing that makes narcissists go insane is your indifference. Now, of course, these narcissists, they've been working very hard. They've been doing a lot. They've been pulling out all of the stock, and they're not doing all of that for nothing. They're doing all of that to have a sense of power and control over you, to have a steady, constant source of narcissistic supply, where you will continue to validate them, to make them feel better about themselves. So you're almost like this investment to them. But not an investment where they're investing into you and trying to make you better. For them, their currency, their investment in you is more connected to the abuse, to how much they harmed you. Because then they see it as though that's affecting you, that's going to keep you under their control, that's going to keep you around them. So that's what their investment is. That's why they do all of these things. Because it's kind of like, if you think about, I told you, even in the forest, people always manage to find me. But yeah, it's kind of like an assault victim. They get violent, they attack you for a reason, so that you become more sensitive. It's like, first they might hit you, and the first time it might be really bad, it might be really harmful to you. But then the second time, maybe all they have to do is their hand. And then after that, they don't have to do really anything at all. You may just hear them coming home from work. You may hear their car pulling into the drive, the keys going into the door, and you're already in fight or flight. You're already on edge, because you remember what this person did to you. You remember how they affected you. So now they don't have to do anything, because it's already in your mind. You already know what they could do. You know what they're capable of. You know how bad they are. So now that's already in your mind. And of course, they use this to their advantage. They use it to keep you under control through your reactions, your emotions. It's sensitization. They do something really extreme so that it saves them having to do so much work later on. So they could be violent with you. That may take a lot of effort out of them, but then the next time, all they have to do is just raise their hand. And you're already going to fear, you're already going to be in fight or flight, expecting them to harm you. And then that's enough to make you back down, to keep you under their control, to keep you submissive to them. They keep you in a state of fear to control you. Now this is why they hate love, because love never got them what they wanted. Love never empowered them. So they seek power and control through fear or shaming tactics. And this is why the fifth thing that makes them go insane is your indifference. When you're not reactive anymore. And many YouTubers talk about this, about when you go grey rock, you have to be very careful, because the narcissist may have been doing all sorts of things to you before, and then they toned it down a bit, because they didn't have to do so much to keep you under their control. So now when you go grey rock, when you stop reacting, now they're in fear. Now they feel like they're losing control over you. So now they're thinking about what have they got to do to regain that sense of control, to regain that power over you. What have they got to do to trick you into giving your power to them, so that they can feel empowered, so that they can feel stable and secure. And that's why at that point they typically ramp up the abuse. It gets even worse. Because all they really want is power and control. They cannot feel empowered on their own. They cannot feel empowered with someone in a healthy relationship. They have to trick you to give your power to them. So that's it. So the 5 things that make narcissists go insane. 1, criticism. 2, the silence. 3, rejection. 4, abandonment. And 5, indifference. They cannot stand it when you are indifferent. Because of course, I mean, they see it as an investment. All of the things that they've done to you, they expect you, when they're in your presence, for you to be curled up in a ball with your hands over your head. They expect you to be worried, terrified about what they might do to you. They expect you to feel a sense of loss, despair, hopelessness, helplessness, after everything they've done. The last thing they want is, after all of the things that they've done, all of the time, effort and energy they invested into destroying you, the last thing they want is for you to still be happy, still be smiling. But unfortunately for me, unfortunately for them at least, for many of you, you're still smiling, you're still happy, despite everything they've done. And the reason why, of course, is because you stayed true to yourself. You remained authentic. You didn't do anything wrong. You have a clear conscience. Despite everything they did, you can heal, you can move on, you can still be happy. And that's why they typically don't leave you alone. That's why they end up stalking you. I told you the noise would come in. It doesn't matter where I go. Middle of wherever I go, I get people following me around. It's nuts. But yeah, that's why they always come back to you. Because they're the ones who have done all of these things wrong. They feel a lot of shame that they've suppressed. And they're the ones who are miserable. They're the ones who are angry. They're the ones who can't move on for that reason. Because they're the ones who have done all of these things to you. So how are they going to move on and be happy? They can't. The victim can. The victim can heal and recover. The abuser cannot. The abuser cannot move, not without your forgiveness, not without you letting them move on. Because from that point on, they remain tied to you. And this is why they try to treat you, because their trauma point of view as a result of everything they've done to you. I mean, of course, all of the things that they do, that's traumatizing for them. That doesn't make them feel good. I mean, really, if they weren't traumatized by the things they've done to you, by the things that they're involved in, they could just come out and admit it. Why would they have to deny it? Why would they have to hide it? Why would they feel bad about it? Why would they have to deflect the shame onto you? They wouldn't have to do any of that. The reason why they do all of that, the reason why prayer was deflected, is because they're dying inside. It's killing them from the inside. It's destroying them. It would, because it's very unhealthy behavior. It's really bad for them. Abusing people, it's not healthy. There's no way that someone can abuse someone, exploit them, and then feel good afterwards. Now, yes, they might feel good initially. They might get a thrill, a dopamine hit, an adrenaline rush initially afterwards. But then gradually it fades away, and then that's why initially they might harm you, and then afterwards they might just raise their hand to continue getting reactions out of you, because it's just not doing anything for them after that. That's why they have to keep going again, and they can never stop. I mean, you got to think, if they were satisfied with what they did to you, all of that abuse, the exploitation, why would they need to keep going? Couldn't they just stop? Because they're not satisfied. Because doing these types of things, it's not the right thing to do. It's really bad. It's toxic. It's evil. But in their minds, they think they're justified. They think that it's okay for them to do that. It's not. And this is why when you go indifferent, it drives them insane. They can't stand it. They've got to have your reaction. They need you to agree with them, to be on the same wavelength. You need to tell them that it's okay in some way. So, even if it's just you backing down, where you're in a state of fear, that translates to them that they are powerful. You're on the same wavelength with them that they are powerful. So they still got some form of agreement from you. Now, when you're in opposition with them, you're in agreement with them, that no longer works. It no longer works that way. More people coming. Maybe this wasn't the best place to go. Maybe I should have gone to the middle of the city now. There may not have been so many people there. I lost my train of thought now. But yeah, they got to have that agreement. They need you to agree with them. They cannot survive without your validation. Everything that a narcissist does is manipulation. It's all an illusion. And it's all to get something out of you. Something that they cannot give to themselves. Your validation. Because they cannot validate themselves. How can a person validate themselves when they're engaged in immoral and corrupt behavior? They can't. You can validate yourself if you have a clear conscience, if you haven't done anything wrong, if you have peace of mind. I mean, it might be difficult, and I can empathize with that, because I know what it's like to feel gaslighted. So of course it can take some time for you to be able to validate yourself again. And it's because you've been made to believe that you're a bad person. You've been blamed for everything. So it's like you feel like you have no right to validate yourself. But you can validate yourself. The narcissist has no ability to do that. They need other people. They need supply. They need their fly monkeys. And it's because they've done so many things to people. So many things that they know are not right. And this is why they hate criticism. They hate the silent treatment. They hate rejection. They hate abandonment. They hate indifference. Because what are all of these things doing? It's getting something out of you to provide to them. Now, why do they need anything from you? You haven't taken anything from them. You haven't stolen anything from them. So why do they need something personally from you? Why are they so dependent on your attention, your validation, your recognition and acknowledgement? Why do they need you to validate, to praise, to compliment, to be always there, present for them, and to never criticize, never give them the silent treatment, never reject, abandon, never be indifferent? Why do they need that from you? And of course, it's because they can't do any of that on their own. And they've got to have you there constantly agreeing with them. And if you don't, they will destabilize you. They will stabilize you because you hold the truth. And of course, if someone is being destabilized every day, you lose sight of the truth because you're being gaslighted. I mean, the truth is out there. The truth isn't just in our minds. Their truth exists only in their minds. That's why they need validation. That's why they need external validation. Our truth exists outside of our minds. It's independent of our brains. The real truth, the facts. And they don't want us to have any connection to the truth, to the facts. That's why they gaslight us. Because although the truth may be out there, as long as it's not in our minds, in our consciousness, and this is why they constantly scan your body language, facial expressions, and tone of voice. They try to read into your emotions. They try to read your mind. Because they know you've got the truth in there. And they want to have control of that. That's why they try to distort your perception. This is why they try to get you to doubt your memory, your sanity. Because it's like, yes, while the truth may be out there, just let it not be in your mind, in your perception, in your consciousness, to where you can then reflect it back at them, which then triggers them. It causes a narcissistic injury. Because you hold the truth. Now this is why they need all of this from you. This is why they can't have you criticizing them, giving them the silent treatment, rejecting them, abandoning them, being indifferent. They can't have you doing that because they need your attention, your validation to help them to continue gaslighting themselves. Now you need validation initially because you've been gaslighted. All of these things have been done to you and you've received no closure, no answers. So of course, yes, the victim needs validation as well, but it's different. They need validation as a result of what they've been doing to you, to keep them in denial, because the facts are, yes, they manipulated you, they abused you, they exploited you, harm has been done to you. These are the facts that they don't want to admit, they don't want to be accountable for. And yet in the next moment, they might hold it over your head as a source of power to intimidate you. And they could just switch back and forth. It's crazy. But this is what they do. So in some ways, it's like they can choose to come back into reality when they want to, if they can see it as a source of power. Because I'm sure many of you have experienced that. All of a sudden, the narcissist will just admit to it. They'll just be like, yeah, I did that. You deserved it. They'll become overt, grandiose. Because then they see it as a source of power. But now if there's other people in the same room who are listening to this, maybe a police officer, then they might react differently. So you see how some narcissists, especially sociopaths and psychopaths, they have this ability to shift. Yeah, they're like chameleons, they're shapeshifters. It's like they have multiple personalities depending on whatever serves them in that moment. Now let's see what everyone is saying here in the live chat. Any questions, let me know, I will read them out. See, we've got 111 live viewers, only 20 thumbs ups. Give it a thumbs up down below if you found it helpful so far. Unfortunately, no moderator in this one. A lot of troll comments, bait comments in here. But yeah, no matter what they do, no matter how much they gaslight you, all it does is just give you a headache. It just confuses you. It's like they can never fully get you to agree with their false narrative. There's always something inside of you that just denies it. And they don't like that. They want you to be all in with them. They want you to be the same as them. The problem is they just can't get you to do it. They can't get you to fully be on the same wavelength. They try the best that they can. It's not that they don't want you to be, they do. They try and it just gives you a headache, it confuses you. It doesn't make any sense to you because you're still in reality. Dorothea Livingston says, just like you said before, they need to be the center of attention. That's right, they've always got to be the center of attention, especially of your attention. They've got to have you under complete control because you are a threat to their false self. I never thought so many people would come here though, in the middle of a forest. And not just that, but at this time of day. It's only 3 p.m, so the sun is really strong. It's really hot here. a very hot day, very hot time as well to go for a hike. As I always say in my videos, I mean, no matter where I go, people will find me. Doesn't matter where I am. Reister says, fear of missing out is their reality. Yeah, that's another thing as well. Narcissists have a huge fear of missing out. And that's what causes them to develop this obsession. Because they're just constantly thinking what they could be missing out on with you. So that's why they're always spying on you. They always come back. They just see your life as more interesting than theirs. Classy Cat says, oh my God, I remember finally learning how he was studying me. And yes, they can hone in on our minds. You know, I don't believe that narcissists have the ability to read anyone's minds. It's more to do with the obsession for validation, for attention, because they're attention whores. So, you know, they desperately need your emotional reactions more than anything else. And even while they're abusing you, especially when they're abusing you, they need your emotional reactions even more. But then you start withholding them from them. You stop giving them your emotions, so then they're going to really read into you. And then they start scanning your facial expressions, your tone of voice, your body language, just everything about you, because they're trying to home in and just feed off some kind of reaction from you. So it's not that they can read your mind. It's just as a result of their obsession, their desperation, attention and validation, they study you, they learn you. Fari says, the great jungle of Swansea. No, this isn't Swansea. There are no jungles in Swansea. This is Malaysia. But yes, that's where I'm from, is Swansea in the United Kingdom. That's my hometown. Leona Love says, it's so strange, he needs to go clubbing literally every single Friday and Saturday. I've been with him for 3 years, still hasn't changed. I know he's out right now. Yes, because they have these fantasies and the fear of missing out. They're always looking for someone or something. And they're very envious and jealous, very competitive. They always feel like someone else has what they want, but they can never seem to get it. Even when they think they've got it, so they later find out it was fake, it wasn't really what they wanted. But actually it's because what they're seeking, what they desire, doesn't even exist. It's just a fantasy in their minds, and they try to pull you into this fantasy. But it will never be something that they possess, because it doesn't exist. And this is what creates the obsession to where they just can't stop. They always feel like they're missing out on something. Give the video a thumbs up if you're finding it helpful so far. Show your support. Cosmic Muffin says stalking is very serious. Please start keeping a diary of dates and times. Take photo evidence and definitely talk to the police. Yes, stalking is very serious. I mean, I don't know if you heard about Liam Payne from One Direction. One of the most successful, most famous boy bands of all time. They're all from just a few hours away from where I'm from in the UK. So anyway, Liam Payne from One Direction, he passed away. And they're saying that he committed suicide. Before that, he was found to be stalking his ex. He had an obsession with her. And then he got drunk, he took drugs, and he just couldn't take it anymore. And he jumped off the 3rd floor of his hotel room balcony. So this is what these obsessions can do to people. And I'm not saying that Liam Payne was a narcissist. I think most celebrities are probably narcissistic in some ways. But yeah, with narcissists, it's more like the opposite for them. They're not going to go and harm themselves directly. Instead, what they're going to do is lash out at you. Their stalking can escalate. It can get a lot worse. Because you've got to think about, what are they doing when they're stalking you? They're stalking you because they want something from you. The problem is they have a void, so they can't be satisfied. No matter what you do or give for them, it will never be enough. It will never satisfy them. It will never sustain them. So then they get frustrated and then they ramp it up. They try and do more to affect you, to harm you, or to get you to fear them and to control you. But no matter what they do, it's just never enough. They're never satisfied. They can't fill the void. It's like Tom and Jerry. Tom and Jerry is always, he's always chasing after Jerry. He's always doing anything that he can to trap the mouse, to grab the mouse, or he just puts a bomb outside the hole. Just does anything he can. Because it's like Tom thinks that finally he's going to be happy, then he's going to be at peace. But actually no. Because these narcissists, they're predators, the best that it gets for them is the pursuit. That is the best part for them. It's pursuing. Actually achieving the goal. Locking you down. I mean, what happens when they get you in a relationship? Or when they marry you or have children with you? Then they suddenly change. Because they're predators. They're only focused on the pursuit. It's the pursuit that fuels them. Once they've got you, they don't get any fuel from you then. That's where they then start devaluing you. They can't get any fulfillment from you directly. It's in the pursuit of you. And that's why many of them end up becoming stalkers. Because even the pursuit, it really has nothing to do with you. It's just a fantasy in their minds. And that's why they can stalk you, and you may not even be talking to them. You may have no connection with them. They may not even want to talk to you. But they're fine to stalk you and spy on you because they get the fulfillment from the pursuit, not actually achieving anything. Now this is why it's like you can't achieve anything with them. It never seems to go anywhere because all they care about is the pursuit. They're predators. Kristen Lower says, wonderful to see you in the woods. Yes, it's a nice change. I do love nature. Although I was hoping that I would be completely alone. But already I've seen quite a few people come through. I mean, it is very difficult to find anywhere in the world at this point where no one else goes. Classic Cat says, see, I am dealing with someone from Arabic culture who is very mystical. You know, I think this is an issue with a lot of people who have these multicultural relationships, because in certain cultures in the world, they manage to justify abuse or extreme levels of control over their partner. And there is no justification for that. You know, they try to bring in their culture or religion into it. And we've had a big problem with this in the UK. But these minorities come over, and then everything revolves around them. And then suddenly now it's like we get 3,000 police reports every day for violence against women, which is the perpetrators are Eastern European and Asian men, when before these people were a minority and they were fighting for equality in our country. And now suddenly they're harassing people, they're being violent to people who were born there. And it all starts with them bringing their culture and religion into it. And then it's like we have to accommodate them. But then they won't accommodate your culture, your religion. They won't even want to hear about it. Everything has to revolve around theirs. And it's very dangerous for us, because you can end up in relationships where they're bringing their culture or they're bringing God into it, and they're just justifying everything that they do to you. When if you were with someone of the same culture, the same ethnic background, you would be looking at it very differently. You would be thinking that it is abuse. And the reality is that a lot of the things that people do in other countries, in foreign countries, if they were in a Western country such as the US or UK, many of them would be locked up for abuse, harassment, coercive control. And this is why I think we need to be very careful when we're getting into relationships with people from different cultural backgrounds or different countries. Because many countries in the world they haven't yet caught up with the West in terms of our laws and in terms of what's causing harm to people, what's damaging and destroying them. So, yeah, they can often, I don't know, even to glorify these things just because it's from far away. Sometimes people idealize it. They see it as you said, mystical, mysterious. But you've got to recognize that you're still dealing with a human being, and don't allow that to make you disconnect from yourself and your own values and morals and what you know is right for yourself. Thank you for the donation, Faith. Classic Cat says some have been known to deal with black magic, and too many weird occurrences have transpired to make me believe I am actually dealing with spiritual warfare. But I don't know the history of it. But I think that yes, a lot of the black magic, the sorcery, that does come from Arabic or Indian countries. I mean, if we go back in history, there is what was his name, Ali Baba and Houdini. Those are just two that I can remember. And what about that Disney movie Aladdin? We have the genie and Jafar, the sorcerer, who uses black magic. I mean, yes, a lot of this stuff, the black magic, it comes from the Eastern countries. No, I don't know too much about it. Believe that it's possible to put a curse on someone. Who knows? Maybe it can be done. Who knows if they do have some kind of spiritual powers? But what I do know is that if it's harmful, if it's bad for people, then it's probably evil. It's not likely to be something of God, because God has nothing to do with harm. God has nothing to do with fear, intimidation, betrayal, control. God is love. God is all love. And there's no need for us to fear our Creator. And there's no need for him to fear us. There's no need for him to call us. Because as long as you are operating at the frequency of love, you're not going to do anything wrong. You're not going to harm anyone. It's not possible. How can you harm anyone out of love? People harm each other out of shame or fear. that's what causes us to do bad things. And it is the devil who wants to keep us in fear or shame. And that's why, if you look at media influences these days, the Illuminati, it's all to keep you in fear, to keep you under control, or to keep you in a state of shame, to make you not like yourself, to make you think you're not good enough. Because that's how the devil controls you. Nothing to do with God. God's is about love, just pure love. And love always wins in the end. So, yeah, they will use black magic, sorcery. If that does exist, I don't know myself. But assuming that it does, they will use that. And again, it's mostly to keep you in fear so that you're under their control. And there's no need for you to be afraid, because our Creator is love. God is love. And love is going to win, no matter what. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Even death itself is not something to fear. As long as you're in a state of love, you can't do any harm. Hopefully it doesn't start raining now. Those of you who follow me on Instagram, you may have noticed a few weeks ago I got stuck in the jungle and it started pouring down with heavy rain. And then I got completely soaked, drenched. Luckily I managed to make it out without any injuries, so I was okay. And I didn't get sick as well. There's meant to be python snakes in here somewhere, but I haven't seen any. Monkeys too. I mean, this is the jungle, but it's not the true jungle. If you, this is a very jungle. Like if you look at the trees, they're mostly ordered quite neatly compared to like a true jungle, a true rainforest. Such as when I was in Sri Lanka. Now there you just see snakes and lizards everywhere. You'll even see them crossing the road. And massive lizards too, because it's even more of a tropical country than Malaysia. Yeah, there's just a different feeling in that type of jungle. It feels more free. And it's much hotter, more humid. But I do appreciate this as well. It's nice just to sit here and hear the birds chirping in the background. It's amazing how different the species of trees are here compared with the UK. They're like such different trees. Everything just seems like bigger. Like the leaves are much bigger and more colourful, brighter. Maybe that's because they get a lot more sun, so they grow more. Classic Cat says, wow, I had no idea, Chris. See, that helps validate exactly what I'm dealing with. Oh my God, you hit it. I'm glad I could hit it for you, Classic Cat. That's what I aim to do. Give you descriptive answers to your questions. Dorothea Livingston says you can treat yourself better than anyone else can. Yeah, I mean, you know, let's not forget we are social creatures. We do need each other. I mean, that's why we're all here together now. But yeah, you're right as well, because you can't just depend on anyone. Everyone's going to let you down at some point because they've got to worry about themselves as well. So over time, it's really only you. You're the only one who can treat yourself the best long term. You're the only one who can sustain yourself. And this is why narcissists have such a big problem, because they can't sustain themselves. They need other people. They depend on us long term as well. They can never be alone. So yeah, that's why if you do treat yourself well, they'll call you narcissistic, they'll call you selfish, because they need you, they're dependent on you. They can't live without you. CR says, I had a terrifying experience with a Kuwaiti. Had his Iraqi friend not shown up unexpectedly, they would have killed me. Yes. I mean, definitely a lot of it in certain Asian countries haven't been dealt with. And they manage to get away with it because of their culture or their religion. And, you know, it's just not acceptable. And it's not racism. I mean, I myself, I'm half Sri Lankan. And I've been traveling in Asian countries now for the past 6 years. So I've seen everything. I've seen with my own personal experience. I've seen a lot of things. And I've done research, I've seen statistics. Especially with women. Women are treated really badly in Asian countries. They bring this over to the UK as well. And then they think it's okay to be violent to UK women or to rape them. There's a statistic on Google where they did a report out of, I think it's something like 10,000 Asian men. And they found that 1 in 4 admitted to raping a woman at least once. I just think those are only the ones who admitted it. So how many didn't admit it? If there's 1 in 4 that did, out of 10,000 men from Asian countries. So it's really shocking. But I found that things are a bit better in the Far East. In the Middle East, things are really bad. I mean, there's all of these wars going on, and there's like this rape culture. I've seen a lot of stories from India about rapes, bangs, where a group of men just gang rape one woman. It's horrible. It's evil. Like, how can anyone treat women this way? But this is what they do. And it's not to say that this isn't happening in Western countries as well. Mostly where it is happening in the UK, it's been reported mostly to do with Eastern European and Asian men. So these are facts, these are statistics. Rayster says they worship a devil that hates them. Yes, didn't we all? Isn't that a great description for a narcissistic relationship? We all worshipped a devil who hated us. Or at least it seemed as though they hated us, but it was more they hated themselves. Arctic says our world is already bad enough. Give God glory. And Christ already defeated death and rose again. He paid everyone's sin debt forever, just believe in him. Yeah, this world is really bad. I mean, it's crazy when you look at social media and people just act like everything's fine. That they got no problems. And just most people are mentally ill. They really are. Most people are so messed up. And they're just pretending. They're pretending to be happy. Like, this world is so bad. I mean, you really think there aren't aliens out there on other planets and that they don't know about us? But then they're not here because they don't want anything to do with us. Look at how many wars we got on our own planet. Our own people fighting each other. How crazy is that? As you look at these things from the bigger picture on a grander scale, just imagine the Earth from far away. It's just this little blue dot surrounded by nothingness. And on this little rock where we all live, everyone's fighting each other. There's all of these wars. It's insanity. Imagine if we are the only life in the galaxy. And this is the best chance our galaxy has. there is a really good chance that we're going to end up destroying ourselves, that we're all going to go extinct as a result of our own actions. That's what many scientists believe. That's what they think is going to happen. The next big threat after COVID isn't so much another virus, it's ourselves. We are our own biggest threat. And we cause such damage to this planet. All of the pollution, climate change, killing 300 billion animals just for food every year. The amount of people who get abused, stalked, harassed, murdered, raped every single day. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Classy Cat says there are Jezebel spirits, and he called them jinns. Sorry, it's a long story. I will inbox you later. No, I am aware of these spirits, Jezebel spirits. I'm not sure whether I believe in them or not. I've heard about them. What I do know is that these types of people, these narcissists, these abusers, the way they look at it from their distorted perspectives is that they will abuse you, and if you try to protect or defend yourself, they'll make it out like you have this Jezebel spirit, and then they'll justify it as though that gives them the right to abuse you, but acting as though they're acting on behalf of God. But actually, no. If you're a man of God, you don't need to do any of that. You don't need to draw any spirits. All you have to do is love yourself and love God. I think God will take care of it. And that's what these people do. They try and justify any abuse because they can't control themselves. They have no discipline. They just love abusing people. Leona Love says, and how bad rape is actually in Israel. Yeah, rape is really common in Asian countries, it really is. It happens all the time, probably every day. And it's all just power and control. Men want to dominate women, and to nest, a lot of women want to dominate men. And then they wonder why they never have relationships. Aren't meant to work that way. Relationships are meant to be equal. Equal in the exact same way, of course. Men have a certain women do as well. But it doesn't mean that one of us is better than the other. Because just look at it, what happens? What happens when the woman thinks that she's better than the man? Well, what happens when the man thinks he's better than the woman? It leads to destruction every time. Because we're not meant to be controlled. We're not meant to be dominated. Whether it's a woman or a man doing it. We're meant to be equal. It doesn't mean do the exact same things. It doesn't mean that now every woman has to be in the military or every woman has to play football. But now men need to start wearing dresses. No, we're different. Men and women are not the same. We're not the same, but we are equal. And that's just something that people don't want to accept. They don't want to realize that. They don't want to accept that we're all equal in this world. And that's why they're so miserable, they're so angry. That's why they seek power, they seek to dominate and control people. That does not lead to happiness. That does not lead to peace. Because think about it like this, I mean, if a person is so great, if they're so wonderful, why do you need to have power over anyone? Why do you need them to give their power to you? Why do you have to dominate them? If you're so great, if you're so wonderful, you wouldn't need to. You wouldn't need to do that. They do it out of insecurity, powerlessness, helplessness. Because they're the ones who need help, and that's why they dominate. And this is both men and women. And some of us, we may see it in ourselves because we've been involved. And then they make us feel like, all right, we've got to have the power now. We've got to be in control. But we don't need to have power over anyone other than ourselves. We just need to be in control of ourselves. Those of you who are asking about different countries or what it's like there, don't just take my word for things. I mean, do the research. Google, pull up the studies, the statistics. Then you will begin to see what this world is really like. Because they're not going to tell you this on the news. They're not going to tell you just how bad this world, how bad people are. And on what a huge scale it is as well. They're not going to reveal that to you. You've got to do the research yourself. Because the research, the studies, the statistics are out there. Now, if they were to put that on the news, in the newspapers, it would cause mass hysteria. People would go crazy. But the reality is that this is most people. Just see the studies on Google. Yeah, it's getting dark now. Looks like it could rain at any moment. I've done my hike for the day. Done my live video for all of you. And now I'm going to go to the gym, do some weights, stay in good shape, stay healthy. Give Nala some food as well. She's waiting for me. But I really enjoyed this discussion with you. I enjoyed answering your questions and yeah, I'm just a seeker of truth. That's all that I know. That's all I care about. Because anything else, what is it? It's just fake. It's just nonsense. What matters is what is true. Even if it's painful at first, we have to accept it. Because with acceptance, then things can change. So thank you all for joining me on another Narc Survivor live video. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe and click on notifications to be notified when I go live again. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Donations are greatly appreciated, no matter how small. You can donate to my PayPal. It's paypal.me/Narc Survivor. If you'd like to book a one-on-one, I am available for you. Just go to my website. It is narcsurvivor.co.uk. And check out my Instagram. New content every day from my trip last year to Japan. Follow me. It is Narc Survivor. That's it for this one. Live from the forest, the jungles of Malaysia. You all have a great day, and I will talk to you soon.